Hi, welcome to the Drama Free Living podcast. Lisa, today we're talking about starting well. If you're listening to this, live or at the time we're recording it, it's like, beginning of December, beginning of January into December. We're through the holidays and it's all about starting well. Lisa, so what are some of your goals for the upcoming year?
Okay, so
Come on, tell me your goals.
we have a little bit of an issue because for me, goal setting, the word goals is a dirty word.
That's a problem for us
Mm-hmm.
because I love that word.
Because you love the word goals. And
Yeah.
for me, the word goals is, there's just something about it that the word goals kind of like,
You almost bristle about it when we
it
talk about it.
triggers me a little
It
bit. And
does.
I need to unpack it on what it is about the word goals and goal setting. But personally, for me, it's more like my intentions
Which is
and
really the same
my
thing,
desired
isn't it?
outcome.
Yeah, like what's the outcome? What's your intention?
Yeah. And so it was fascinating because when we talk about goal setting, and I think part of it is goals, everybody starts New Year's goals or resolutions. And really, I mean, you're just setting yourself up for failure a little bit because you set these goals and you don't have this
The intention to do
system
them.
behind it.
Yeah, that's it.
And so you don't keep it. And so what that is it's for me, so for instance, like we have this interesting joke that I don't know, to me it's something funny is, well, it'll be a day off. And my question will be, so what's the desired outcome for today?
Or you say, what's the intention for today?
What's the intention for today? What's our intention for today? What is it that we want to have done by the end of the day? Well, for you, that would be the goal for the day.
Yeah.
For me, it's like what's the desired outcome? What's our intention? And you laugh because you're like, it's a day off. But for me, it's a way to manage my expectations.
Right. It's like, are we going to clean the yard and then cook out and then play a game and it just, it kind of just like sets the agenda for the day.
So for me, it's what do I need to do that at the end of the day, I'll look back on the day and be like, it was a really good day. And so I look forward and I think of, okay, so at the end of 2025, what do I need to happen in my life of things that I can control, that I can look back on 2025 and I can be like, regardless of what happens, it was a good year.
Well, and it really becomes almost like, hey, what's the best outcome?
Mm-hmm.
And it keeps you focused with the end in mind because Lisa, it was I don't know if you remember this, as we were having a couple over and we were at the fire and the one gentleman was just saying like how he doesn't set goals, right? He just doesn't really set goals. And I thought about it, I thought, well, how do you know what to do tomorrow? If you don't have a goal for like, down the road, how do you, and many times it's like, you only live life once, but if you live it right, once is enough. And so many times if you know the outcome that you want, it really helps you know what to do each day. But a lot of people that don't set plans for the day, like I get it because, well, I don't really know where I want to be.
No, but you mentioned that, and I think of this couple and pretty somewhat driven, great people, somewhat driven. And so I think it's the same thing with me. It's not necessarily goals, but they have intentions.
Yeah.
Or they have desired outcomes. And so I think in that situation, it would be more like, okay, well, so what kind of desired outcomes or what kind of intentions do you have? Because a lot of times we get caught up in just a simple word.
We get caught up in language.
We get caught up in language because of what that word means to us or what that language means to us and how its impact in our history.
Well, and that's fascinating you kind of bring that up because we want to offer the productivity pack for this year. Starting off, if you're listening to, the podcast like the month of January, we're offering the productivity pack. And here's what it is it's 3 separate resources, 3 separate courses, short courses that are very simple and easy to get through and get some action steps. But we really break out 3 different words with different meanings. Aggravation, activator, right? A lot of people don't like aggravation. We're going to show you what to do with aggravation, because you're going to get aggravated this year. Procrastination. People say, I don't like to be we're going to show you how to utilize procrastination for your benefit. And then emotional regulator. How do you regulate your emotions so they're actually, every emotion is good. Every emotion is helpful. So a lot of people say, that's not a helpful emotion. Every emotion. And so each of these courses are $9, like short, quick courses, but we're going to put them together. Productivity pack for 2025, $9 for all three courses. So you can have that as a resource. So if you have trouble with aggravation, you get aggravated, irritated, you're a procrastinator, maybe sometimes you get too emotional and you don't know how to regulate, or maybe you have people in your life that are too emotional, show you what to do with them. Okay, so because what's fascinating is we took three words and we created different meanings to them. And we wanted to maybe help you start your year out right. So this is a great example of, I say goals, you say outcomes or intention. Same thing, Lisa.
Same thing.
Same thing.
It's the end result.
Yeah. So let's talk about like what are four keys to kind of when we start well. What are they?
Yeah, 4 keys to starting well. Okay, so the 4 keys that we're gonna cover: setting your intention,
Mhm.
creating a support system, planning, and taking action.
Yep.
So, setting your intention, it could be setting your goal, it could be setting your desired outcome. Is the first thing is define your purpose. It's like, what's the point? What is the purpose? What is your why and your what?
Well,
It's
and it almost, Lisa, isn't it like, what do you want?
exactly.
And what's fascinating is when we talk to people, it's like everybody knows what they don't want. But when I say, okay, what do you want? That's really hard. I mean, I know it's hard for me
Mm.
sometimes. I go, well, I know what I don't want, but what is it that I really, really want?
Well, and so a good example of this is you could set a goal of, okay, we're going to completely remodel our backyard and have an outdoor living space. Well, what's the purpose behind it? Well, the purpose behind it is because I want to be able to have my family and friends over and we can get together and we can really utilize that as a space to interact. Well, then it gives you the chance to go back and look and say, okay, now wait a minute. Is me remodeling my backyard into an outdoor living space going to cause us to have a place for it will
Mm.
cause us to have a place, but will it cause us to actually interact and be able to connect? Or is it possible maybe there's some other things that are more foundational on if you want to connect with family and friends or colleagues that maybe need to be worked on first before you spend $100,000 and create an outdoor living space.
Yeah, and
So
it's like,
what's the
well,
purpose?
and I think it's like only you know what you want,
Mhm.
right? And a little bit wanting is you can't borrow it from somebody else.
Right.
And one thing that kind of really freed me up is this idea of wanting what I want and not having to justify it. Is that I want it just because I just want it, and that's okay. That's reason enough sometimes,
Right.
right? And just and not having to justify it or kind of keeps you out of comparison,
Yeah.
right? Because it's like, well, you want that, and I'm going to let you have. Like, I'm not going to judge that want. I'm right.
Mhm.
That's what you want, but it doesn't have to be what I want.
Right.
It's like your purpose doesn't have to be my purpose,
Yeah.
right? It's kind of like, God loves you, and I have a purpose for your life.
Right.
Instead of God loves you and God has a purpose for like, hey, God loves you and I have a purpose for your life. And I think if we're not careful, if you live without, like, people will put a purpose in your life.
They will. If you don't have your own purpose, someone
Yeah.
else will assign a purpose for you, and it's not probably going to fit with who you are and your gifts and the things that you actually are passionate about.
Yeah. Really true. Good stuff.
So, with setting your intention, first you want to define your purpose. And then next, you want to set your priorities and your focus. Okay, so because you could have we'll do backyard outdoor living space again. Figure out what it is about it. If you have decided, okay, yeah, actually I need an outdoor living space in 2025 because I want to have a gathering place and I want to connect. It's like, okay, great. You've decided that's actually going to fit your purpose. And then what are the priorities and the focus? Because you could do a gazillion things
Well, and I
with
think that's the
that.
problem with priorities is like we got too many choices. And especially if you're living in a first world country,
Yeah.
right? Is we have an overabundance of choices. And the more resources that you continue to have, the more choices that you really have. And so I think that's where prioritizing really becomes a challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the last one would be, and this is the difficulty of it. It's the lack of a clear vision.
Hmm.
So when you start out to set your intention, be as clear and as specific about it as you can. Just get it all out. Get it all out of your brain. Get it all out of your heart. Get it all out of whoever else is involved in this outcome, this goal, this intention for 2025, or even for the first quarter of 2025. When you're setting these things up,
Mhm.
you want to remove the difficulty of having a lack of clear vision, because if you don't have a clear vision, it'll fail.
Okay, so here's a quick suggestion because a lot of times, like we talk about purpose, we talk about vision, people think about their whole life. It's a big question, okay? And it really is a muscle, it really is a skill that you develop. So if you're having trouble with like, what's the purpose of my life? Start small. What's the purpose of today? Right? What's the outcome for today? And get really, really good. I think, Lisa, we've gotten better because every day we say, what's the outcome for the day? Right? There are 3 key outcomes that I want for today, and tomorrow there'll be 3 different key outcomes, and then when we sit down and go, "What are the key outcomes for next year?" It's a little easier because I'm in the habit of making it a daily practice. So start small, and listen, if a day's too much, start with an hour, right? And kind of build this habit because I think a lot of times when we say purpose and vision, people think about my whole entire life, like when I'm 100 and what is it? No, just if and that's a big question, but just start small and almost create it like a muscle.
Absolutely, because if you want a successful life, you're thinking, I want to be close with my kids and my family, and I want to make an impact. And you list all of these different things. It's like, great. Okay, that's 50 years from now. Okay,
Yeah.
so what about 10 years from now? What about 5 years from now? What about this year? What about this month? And so if I can take what my desired outcome is for 2025 and I pack it down into, okay, so how does that play out this week? This
Mhm.
week, I want to be just a little bit healthier than I was last week. And what does that mean? Well, maybe I take an extra walk. Or this week, I want to be just a little bit closer with my family than I
Mhm.
was
Yeah.
last week. Or this week, I want to learn just a little something. So 10 years from now, I want to be a complete expert on whatever. Well, what's one tiny step today? And so but that's giving you that clear vision. So,
Yeah.
because a successful year is just made out of a set of 365 successful days, or not even that. It could be 300 successful days and 65 of them could be crap. But you know what? That's 300 days closer to what success is than what you would have been before.
Yeah, and so find out what a successful day is and just do it over and over again, right? What makes a successful day? And because success leaves clues, and it kind of goes to our second point is create this support system.
Yeah.
Right? Because success and when we say success, we're not just talking about financially, right? We're talking about all areas. Success in your health, success in your family, success, in your career, just success is an overarching, not just money, right? But really create a support system because success is not meant to be done alone.
Yeah.
Life is not meant to be done alone. So I always think like
And I don't think you can. I mean,
I don't
it's not
you don't grow
po
alone. It's like transformation happens in a group, right? That's where you're transformed. It's why we have the leadership roundtable because we have seen this transformation happen with people inside of a group as they're interacting with, peers that are maybe just 1 or 2 steps ahead, not 50 steps ahead. And so if you'd like information, it's a great time to join a roundtable. We've got a new one starting here coming up. So we'll put a link in the show notes about the roundtable, but really identify the right people. Like who are the mentors? Right, and I have realized, like, with mentors is, define somebody's expertise and then go after their expertise. So, for example, I mean, we have, an expert mechanic, but I don't necessarily talk to my mechanic about my marriage issues, right? I've got a therapist, but I don't necessarily talk to my therapist about my car or my computers. I have other experts in my life. So kind of defining, who are the right people because I think success always leaves clues. And as we kind of jump to these next level in our relationships,
Yeah.
right? We have people that are experts in relationships that we pull from in that area. We have people that are experts in money that we pull from every area of life, but really identify the right people. Who are they? And a lot of
And identify the people that you don't have in your life. So if you look at your life and the
yeah.
different areas of your life and the support system, and if you don't have someone that can really kind of feed you and give you tidbits of wisdom financially, then I mean that would be the hole and that lack that you want to fill, or someone maybe that has just amazing wisdom in relationships.
Yeah, well, and Lisa, and I think the key is like because a lot of times people when they talk about mentors and these kind of people, they want like somebody 10 steps ahead of them. Listen, if you don't have access, stop trying to want that person to be your mentor, trying to make it happen. Just find somebody that's just 1 or 2 steps ahead of you and press into that relationship. So mentors, also peers. Right, having peers around you that are going through the same thing. I think that's the value of the roundtable is they can relate to the challenges, they can give you strategies for what they've done, but they're kind of on the journey with you. It's like they get where you're coming from. I think one of the amazing things about the roundtable, Lisa, is that people say, I thought I was just kind of crazy, and then I got around this group and I realized, oh, I'm just kind of normal. There's other people who just
Everybody's crazy.
everybody's crazy, right? It's like, oh, yeah, we all have this ambition and we all have these roadblocks and they're kind of the same. And hey, I'm not just crazy. And you feel like you're all alone. And I think that's the problem. So having peers and then really like having friends, people that, you don't have to perform for. Cause even sometimes like with peers, there's sort of like that guard or whatever. You can't like necessarily let down all your guard, but man, you need people in your life that, you can say, hey, I'm having a really crappy day. And I just, I just need some support and I just need you to listen to me. I met with a couple guys about a month ago and we were just under some emotional strain. And I just sat with them and I said, guys, I said, I don't need you to solve it. I don't need you to fix it. I just need you to sit here and I just need to say it. I just need to say it. I need to get it out of my heart. I need to get it out of my mouth. I need to get it on it. I need to hear myself say it. And I don't need you to solve it for me. Just be a safe place where I can say it. And Lisa, it was so cathartic to me. And I think the problem is a lot of times people don't have that opportunity and they kind of suffer in silence.
Mhm.
So if you're suffering in silence, listen, it's not for you. So really starting well is like setting this attention and then creating this support system. And then with the support system, I mean, really get good at communicating what you need. I mean, advice or accountability, emotional support, but what is it and being honest about it. Okay, because when you can communicate, "Hey, this is what I need," it's almost like your brain starts to work on it. Because all progress starts when you tell the truth, and so when you tell yourself the truth, "This is what I need," there's almost this magic that happens in my brain that says, "Okay, Dennis, go do this." Right? And then really just continue to nurture it. One
Consistently.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I think is kind of a focus for me is that sometimes I always think for the new relationships, but man, I've got all these relationships that I already have, and one habit that I've just gotten into is really sending thank you notes every week. I've just gotten really good at just like appreciating these relationships and continuing to nourish them by text and just by communication. At least, I mean, there are people. Just this next week, I'm flying out to Colorado Springs to be with a friend. You're gone for a trip in Rome, and I was like, well, I'm going to be home, and I got I'm got all these conferences and things that we're doing, but I got 2 days. I'm going to fly to Colorado Springs and just make an investment in that relationship.
Yeah, and
To
nurturing it consistently is also part of communicating what you need, and
Yeah,
it's that advice and nurturing getting that advice and nurturing getting that accountability and nurturing that emotional support because whatever your time frame is for this intention or this goal, whether it's for this quarter or this month or 2025, if you don't nurture it consistently, you're not going to finish well. You're not going to make it because at some point it gets hard.
yeah. So it's like set your attention, do it with a team, right? Create a support system. And Lisa, the third one that you wanted to cover,
Is planning, obviously. I mean, planning you've got to, and that involves doing adequate research and preparation.
or having people that can help you with that.
Or having people that can help you with whatever it is that you want your goal. I mean, if you're like, hey, I want to lose 100 pounds this year. I mean, fascinating goal. Let's do a little bit of research and prep and find out, is this an attainable goal? Is it realistic? Is it just do a little, and it doesn't have to be a lot of research and prep, but if you want to go after something,
Yeah,
prepare for it. Prepare to go after it
yeah,
and prepare to set yourself up to succeed.
yeah,
And then allocating resources, on your team, if you want to really push and be able to just push out your whole product side of your company and be super successful with it, well, you're going to have to allocate resources.
mm,
You're going to have to allocate financial resources. You're going to have to allocate human resources. If you have an intention or a goal in your company, you're going to have to pull and allocate appropriately, which means you're going to have to take away from somewhere else that maybe you allocated previously.
yeah. Lisa, it's like your budget really defines your vision,
Yeah.
Right, and typically, it never works well when, maybe, like, the senior leader, maybe they have a vision, but they don't have, like, total control of the budget, right? Because the fact that, like, your budget really is a reflection of your vision, because you can't fully fund everything. I mean, we have a lot of things that we're involved with and that we're doing in the organization, but Lisa, there's maybe 2 or 3 things that we can fully fund and go, "We're going after this, and we're gonna put resources and time," and so it's almost like your budget determines your vision.
Right. And with the planning, 2 things that just really cause difficulty
Mhm.
in planning is skipping your research and
Oops.
skipping your planning.
Oops. Oops.
I
Oops.
mean, and for those that are high quick starts,
I don't know who that would be.
Dennis, for if you're a high quick start, which you're what, a 10 quick start?
Yeah, it's awesome.
There is a lot of times you skip that research and you skip that planning and you just jump ahead. And that's when you need other people around you. I mean, there's a lot of the C-suite, the CEOs, the high level entrepreneurs are high level quick starts. It's just kind of a requirement for the position. And when you're up, a lot of that times you don't get your research in and you don't get your planning in, and you need to put people around you
Well, and
that
I think
make
that's
sure
well,
that
and I
you
think
do
that's
those
the
things.
thing, right? Is that if you're this type of person, just put the people around you. Because Lisa, I'll never be as good at research as you. I just won't. I just don't have that.
True.
I never will. But man, I absolutely need you in my corner doing some of the research and bringing that to me so that we can make better decisions. But for me to kind of beat myself up and go, "Oh, I got a plan," and even some of the research that I was involved with yesterday was like, after about an hour, I was done. Right, I was like, "Okay, I think I'm done." It's like I've used all the research muscle I have. So I think that's the value of really building a team that can really come alongside you and really help. Because we can't say, "Well, I'm not good at research, not good at planning, so we're just not going to plan." No, that's ridiculous. Just put the people around you that can help you with that.
Yeah. And then understanding time commitment. So we talked about
Mm,
allocating resources,
yeah.
human resources, financial resources. Well, it's understanding time commitment. If this is a goal or an intention that you're going to set, then you're going to have to understand that that's a time commitment. And then along with that, having realistic and achievable milestones. So if you're going to eat an elephant, you need to break it up into small bits, because you can't eat an elephant in one sitting.
Yeah.
You need to start with the trunk first.
Well, and just realize that you don't have time for everything. And I think that's one thing that you've always taught me because I have this fallacy sometimes that we can do it all. Right, and I still kind of believe that at times, right? And I think that, we can do it faster than it really takes. And just having people in your life that can really help you have those realistic time commitments and go, Dennis, it really takes longer, right? Because a lot of times I know for me, it's like the fact that I say it means it's already done,
Right.
right? I say it and I think it's already done. And I'll say it and then I wonder why tomorrow it's not done. But I don't
Because it was
understand.
only going to take 3 minutes,
Right, right. And there's actually it's
and
like
like 30 hours later.
yeah, and so just really I mean, book publishing is a great example,
Yeah.
like in our own organization that, well, I wrote the book, let's get it published tomorrow. What's the problem? And understanding that process. So just really, that's a real help. And so it's, setting your intention, creating a support system, planning, and then the last one is listen, just take action. Right? Action begets
Just do
action
it.
begets action, right? And you have to take some kind of action. And I think action is what separates winners from losers. Winners just consistently take more action. And not that all the actions are correct and or they're all right, but they're just taking action. And I think what kind of helps me do this is sort of set like some kind of micro goals, kind of get you out of overwhelm. For example, a one of my personal rocks is cleaning out some of the closets, in our house. And Lisa, yesterday after it was about 3 o'clock, and I just had about an hour before my next meeting, and I was just sort of at a loss to do, and I just sort of and and the closets are gonna be, like, probably a 30-hour, project when it's all said and done, but I didn't have 30 hours yesterday, but I said, "I have an hour," and I was like, "You know what? What could I do with the closet in the next hour to just make a little bit of dent in it?" And I probably got 3% of the way there, but it was just setting that and then there was just this sense of confidence that I go, "Okay, what else when else can I do this?" And it just sort of begets some more action. So I think sometimes we look at, "Oh my gosh, it's a closet, 30 hours," and I'm just overwhelmed by the big goal and go, "Okay, what can I do today?"
Yeah, what is that 3%? What can I
Yeah.
do to make it 3% better?
Yeah. And then really setting like realistic deadlines and kind of creating this sense of urgency. And I think that's what deadlines do is sometimes we need sort of that jump start and
Mhm.
get other people involved. I mean, Lisa, there are certain like deadlines that I have that the whole team knows. And the fact that the whole team knows means I'm going to get it done. Right. Because you know what? At the end of the day, I don't want to look bad.
You wanna save
I
face.
want to save face, right? It's a reality. And so it's like use it, use that as an advantage, not a disadvantage. Sometimes like, oh, that's a disadvantage to always like care what people think. Well, it is. It's there. So instead of it being a disadvantage, it's like, well, how do I take advantage of this advantage?
Yeah, but you intentionally tell people or make a deadline and say, "I'm going to do this at this time," and it's a very intentional movement because it forces you and if you've put that out there that you're going to accomplish it. Like when you, set to run, half marathons, it's like
Yeah.
you pay for the,
Got to pay for it.
pay for
That's the
it.
first key.
You
Pay
buy
for
the
it.
airplane ticket to get out there, and
Yeah.
it's like, "Okay, crud, now I've actually gotta
Right.
train for
Right.
it."
Right. I put money on this. There's no way I'm going to like back out of it, even if I hurt myself. Yeah. And so setting realistic deadlines, and then kind of adopting a doer mentality. I think this is about progress, not perfection.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times we procrastinate on things because we want it perfect. It's never perfect. I mean, I think other than God, nothing is perfect, right? Because when I say it's perfect, really, can it never be improved maybe 0.5%? Or could we've got it done like 15 minutes earlier than when we did? It can always improve. But it's this idea of, hey, we're making progress,
Mhm.
right? So just we're making progress and then kind of eliminating distractions.
Yeah.
Because now there's a great book and we gave this out to our roundtable participants and they said this is one of the best books. And so we'll put a link in the show notes for you. You can go grab it. But it's, I'm going to see if I can butcher the name right. I think it's called Indistractable or
Indistractable.
Indistractable. Okay, right? But
Mhm.
it's this idea is that we get distracted. It's actually a coping mechanism for not doing hard things. It's actually trying to fill an emotional need in your life because I got to go do this hard thing and it's really going to be, I got to have this hard conversation, but I got to go check these emails. Well, I got 50, I got to clean up I got to get my email box to inbox zero. But really what's really important, having the hard conversation, but I become distracted and it's actually a coping mechanism. It's actually an emotional mechanism. So really understanding that many times distractions are coping mechanisms and just, some things are hard and you just got to press into the hard. So
And coping mechanisms are not necessarily bad things. I mean, there's different things that maybe you're distracted by, and that's just a way to soothe until you can build up the confidence or the courage to actually go do that thing that's hard.
well, and it's why we put the productivity pack together because we want to help you with 3 coping mechanisms. Okay, what to do with aggravation, the aggravation activator, how to utilize procrastination, and how to regulate emotions, yourself or others. 3 tools. Each of them are $9 just for the actual course, but we're going to put them together, 3 courses for $9. Come on. So I mean, because we just want you to have a productive 2025, right? We want you to have a productive year. And so it's really our resource for you. So Lisa, as we're talking about starting well, like what are you thinking about? What's your key takeaway from
For
this?
me, goal setting, goals is still a dirty word,
It's
but I
okay.
am more than happy to embrace intentions, outcomes, result. Any of
Mhm.
those for me are positive goals, and goal setting just kind of is cringeworthy for me. And so, whatever word you need to use to have a successful day or a successful month, quarter, or year, use that and don't let something like the word goals or intentions or expectations, trip you up.
Lisa, I think for me, I'm going to look at the goals for 2025. So no matter when you're listening to this, okay, we're recording this January of 2025, but I'm going to just look at like the upcoming goals and really think about who can help me with these. Right? Who's the who in my life, either mentors, peers? How can I create more transparency? And how can I really go after some more relationships in each of these areas and really pull the wisdom and pull the support? And really, I'm going to take a fresh look at my personal support system to get these things.
I love that.
Yeah, awesome. Listen, this has been fun. We'll see you next time on the Drama Free Living Podcast.